If you suck at dynos, what I'm about to talk about is going to change your world.
Easy.
You're not failing on dynos because of the difficulty. There's way more to it. Number one, most important by far, it's not even close, is commitment, confidence, and fearlessness. If you have fear, you can think of that as a weight vest. And it's both a weight vest on your body and your mind. And it's a weight vest on your body because it is a weight vest on your mind. It's enormous. Probably just from that, limiting themselves by 2 minimum, bare minimum, to probably 4 grades, maybe more, honestly.
Wow.
Dude, I have seen extremely strong climbers that have so much power and strength that cannot dyno because they are so nervous. Number 2, it's almost like a trick answer, but it is true. If we're talking about high-end dynos and just maximal dyno potential across the board of higher grades, and I'm just talking anything that is higher than what you're climbing or where you're at even, is finger strength. Without finger strength and finger power, mainly finger strength, you're going to be very limited in your ability to do hard dynos because of component number 3, which is the next most important, arm strength and arm power. When the arms are not extremely strong and powerful, they cannot pull the body up and into the wall. And because the legs are attached to our hips, and our hips are the center point of our bodies, or very close, if we don't get the upper body up and in quickly while we're accelerating upwards with the legs, that means our hips are off of the wall. And when my legs extend to jump, because my hips are off of the wall and my feet are on the wall, there's an arrow of the force vector that comes from the legs through the hips that is now pointing backwards, away from the wall. So if you can't get yourself up and into the wall quickly, your arms are also a massive contributor in upward velocity, then the legs cannot do anywhere near the job, and they're actually going to push you in the opposite direction. Number 4, in my opinion, is coordination and the skill of it. I mean, you can lack a lot of the other things, but if you have beautiful form and you place yourself in the right area, in the movement at the right time with flowing connection, you activate the chain in the right order, it just makes such a difference. And it can kind of remove the need of finger strength, arm strength, and number 5, leg strength and power. And all of these, I'm saying strength, that's your engine, but how high of an RPM you can get that is your power. Like how explosive can it be? Dynos are all about explosivity.
All right, y'all, just a quick minute here to talk about every climber's favorite topic, finger strength, and how we can build it. And I'm telling you guys, this has changed the game for me. Check out the Force board. I've been using it for a while now, and I am already seeing the difference in my finger endurance and finger strength. And that's because it's allowing me to precisely dial in what I need in any given workout. I mean, it's tiny, so I can throw it in my bag and take it to the crag for my warm-up or to the gym or when I'm traveling. It logs everything in the app automatically. I can even see how I stack up against the community with regard to my finger strength. It's gamifying the way I'm training. Dr. Tyler Nelson's been on the show to talk about how effective this kind of training is, and I am loving it. If you're a geek about training your fingers like I am, you got to check out the Force board. It's cheaper than a pair of climbing shoes, and it's going to level up how you train your fingers.
Also, if you hit that link down there and use code STRUGGLE10 at checkout, you're going to score yourself $10 off just like that. Plus the show gets a little bit of love. So it's a win-win. All right, hit that link and let's get some strong fingers. For the true beginner, for somebody who's not maybe a true beginner climber, people who've been climbing, but are perhaps more like me where it's just been more static. The bulk of my dynamic experience will be on my kilter board, for example. All points dynos. I could probably count on one hand how many I've done. Usually it's on the gym sets at the Problem where I've got a real big comfy pad behind me. I've certainly never done one out in nature, although I guess on sport climbs, there have been some times where I've just like jumped for holds because I've had the rope on me and I've, felt safe to do it or whatever. But in any case, it's pretty foreign to me. How do you work with me in that scenario, or what should I be thinking about the next time I get to the gym or get outside?
So if we were to take where you're at now and look at where you want to get to, if you want to be able to do dynos confidently, if you want to be able to do anything confidently, what do you need? You need exposure therapy. It's the same type of thing because it's fear, right? It's the same as getting above the bolt. and trying really hard. For anybody who's ever worked up to doing that, you know there's only one thing that truly moves the needle, and it's getting above the bolt and taking that fall. It doesn't matter how many times you do it in a session, because you wait a little bit, it goes away. It's all about a high frequency of doing the thing that scares you in that tolerable range, makes you feel uncomfortable, but it also empowers you at the end of the session. So number one is giving them two things: dynos, almost every session, just 3 dynos. That's it. Just do 3 at the end of your warm-up. Replace the last 3 in your warm-up boulder ladder. That way you're not just adding excessive volume into your day. Number 2 is committing moves. And these are ideally dynos. Ideally, you're doing this on the dyno, but typically it's hard to find both. And quite frankly, in the very beginning, what defines a very committing move for some people, it's just so easy to do. And this is really crucial, and I think builds up a higher tolerance for things down low, is doing a committing move up high. Doesn't even matter if it's a dyno, classic one, right? I've got an angled hold and I've got a finish hold out left, and I've got a really crappy foot. And I'm going to go lunge for that hold, and it needs to be dynamic. And I'm just going to get up there and try my best. And I'm only measuring. I do not care at all if I stick the move. It has nothing to do with this. Only matters if you commit to it. And when you come down, you have to write about it. If you're not writing about it, you're missing out on, in my opinion, 75% of the process. You need to talk about it. You need to write about it. You need to tell me about it as your coach. And that seals the deal and creates such an air of confidence.
What am I telling you, or what am I writing to you after I try that committing move? I come down. What are you asking me to reflect on?
Your experience, honestly. I want you to frame whatever you can positively, but tell me what actually happened. Because if somebody who's you're working with, or even just yourself, both of you are highly invested in your betterment, right? So if you're not communicating with either of those people and looking at your experience and then analyzing it on a deeper level than what you typically do during your sessions, which if we're working together hasn't been moving the needle that fast, right? So you need to write it down and double up and study it and look at the data. You can now look back at sessions and don't say, I don't really remember what was happening in those last sessions. No, you can see it right there. You see a theme. You do very well when you jump upwards, but if anything's laterally, you freak out. So let's stop working on the upward stuff. We're wasting half of your time if we're doing those as 50%. Let's just work on the lateral right now. Double our improvement rate.
Yeah, very cool. So if we don't have a coach, we're not actively working with a coach, it could just be a notes app on our phone. It's just like the dyno log or whatever. And just every time you go in, if you're saying you're adding in those 3 dynos at the end of your warm-up, you're just writing some thoughts about how it went, if you felt fear, did you stick it? To your point, what type of dyno was it? What type of hold were you going to? So we're just trying to kind of contextualize the thing, and then over time, you're able to look back at the dyno log and hopefully identify some trends.
Right. And any emotional or mental work that you're doing, if you're not writing it down, you're hoping, you're not ensuring.
Yeah, very cool. I really like that additional element there. That I didn't expect you to say that, to say, hey, like 75% of it is reflecting, talking about it, writing it down. That's an easy thing that we can do that doesn't cost any skin or any time, and
Totally.
reinforces the behavior there. How important is it to understand the mechanics of falling well? Because I'm just thinking in my mind here, like jumping sideways and committing moves up high, and I'm always like, my ankles. Probably irrational fears, but where does falling or fall practice come into this?
That's where your fear is from, right? So if anyone tells me that they have a fear of falling, ever, or fear of committing up high, and some people do have a fear of just jumping, just moving fast with no control. And sure, it most of the time does come from their fear of the end result, hitting the ground. But a lot of the times it's just moving fast. They're not good at it. It's very foreign. They feel uncoordinated. They don't like it, so they have that fear of just the experience. I always ask why they feel that they don't have this skill. And if it's because they have a fear of falling, and regardless if anyone tells me that they're doing dynos, I will always add plyometric work with the legs and falling practice. Also has to be at high frequency. Like start the session, after each warm-up boulder, jump down. Before you do the dyno you're going to do, grab the finish hold, just hold it, swing, and then land where you will land if you catch it, swing off, and land. practice that land, hit the ground, roll, hit the ground, roll. The reason that I know that I have so much confidence with dynos is because when I was younger, I used to literally with my friends go to the new construction site or the playground, and we would jump off the highest things that we possibly could. We would jump from like 15 feet up, hit the ground, roll. We just, parkour was new, so we were obsessed. And I would do that at the climbing gym. I'd get to the top of the boulder when no one was looking. I'd go to the back and jump off the boulder onto the pads from like 16 feet up and just roll. And from doing that hundreds and probably thousands of times and doing dynos where I just would yeet myself sideways, swing off like a lunatic, but then land on big pads and learn how to do it safely, I know that when I go, I'm like a cat. I don't have fear of being up high because if I do fall, I'm fine.
Yeah, that's really a foreign concept to me. But I understand how it can come with practice because climbing 5 feet above a bolt used to be like absolutely gripping to me. And now I can take 25-foot whippers and it's totally fine. But what I haven't practiced is falling a lot as a boulder or on pads. And so adding that into the warm-up, that's very interesting, just kind of like grabbing the finish hold and like swinging where you might swing if you come off it. Essentially, it takes away that unknown, right? Like, oh, well, I already took that weird, or what I thought would be in my mind, that weird landing. I already took it. I know I'm okay. Now I can put it out of my mind. I'm not going to start at 16 feet. So I'm just assuming we're just working our way up to that. Like I'm going to drop off in the middle of a climb and then maybe one move further and progressively add some of that exposure.
Yeah, same thing with the uncomfortable move. You do what you're uncomfortable with, but you can accomplish and feels empowering.
Hey, if you like this video, check out these here because they are banger, and also subscribe to the channel because I put out a fresh video every single week with one of the best rock climbers in the world. Let's go.